All right, everybody. Welcome in to the Hoops Rehab Show on a Tuesday night. How you doing, Eric?
Doing pretty good. How's everything with you?
You know, just post All-Star, waiting for the season to start back up.
I know.
But we got a lot to get into. Lots of stories out today. We're going to recap the NBA All-Star new edition of the World versus the U.S. and kind of see how that all went. And we're also going to talk about the Lakers and their upcoming schedule, what they can do in the second half. Dave McMenamin dropped a big article today that kind of details what they're planning to do in the summer. So we'll talk about that. And also kind of recap Steph Curry's, not mystery injury, but something that's kept him out for the last couple of weeks. All right, Eric, you ready to get this cracking?
Let's do it.
Okay. So going into the All-Star break, I was thinking, especially when they announced the dunk contest contestants, I was thinking, what has happened to our All-Star game, Eric? I mean, I think you texted. Would you text me
About the start time or the
just in general? What has happened to our All-Star game? You know, no TNT. It's we don't have Barkley. You don't got Kenny Smith. You don't have all those usual guys. It's on NBC. Yes, it's a new system. It's a new everything. But going into it, I kind of had a negative feeling. What did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's kind of what the census was, just all over the place, where people were a little bit negative to kind of what we were about to see, and I felt like the NBA, and I understand there was reasons for it, but didn't do any favors by putting All-Star Saturday night. What is it called? Saturday night, not Saturday day. At 2 p.m. locally. And I do get that there was the Olympics that sandwiched it, and we'll see what it's like next year. But I think that was like kind of the first thought. I was like, man, come on. Like you got to have this a little later in the evening. Yes. So NBC had the All-Star game up until about 2002 or so. But TNT always had the Saturday night, at least since 1989. And so what I was texting about was we're just so used to that again, we'll get to the game in a second, but that All-Star Saturday night coverage of TNT and Kenny, and then, obviously Shaq and Barkley kind of all over the place, making it fun. And I get it, like change is good sometimes. And maybe they made it a little bit more about themselves than the actual product, but it was a little weird at first not seeing them there.
Yeah, I think that was just like the biggest thing for me is the start time was 2 o'clock, which is middle of the day on a Saturday. Talking about dunk contest starting about 3:30-ish was just insane to me. I understand that they probably wanted to do prime time of the Winter Olympics because it happens every 4 years. So that's probably why they did it. I can't foresee that happening next year. And it was also Valentine's Day. So that could have been like, hey, we want to have the night crowd. People are going to be out and about, so maybe we'll just go ahead and do it right now. That's fine. Now, the contestants of the dunk contest. Yes, I'm always going to watch it every year just because I'm like, I can't wait to see somebody do some dunk I haven't seen, or let me see what these guys got. But when you got the likes of Jackson Hayes, who, man, love him as a Laker, but man, he went up and did a regular dunk as his first dunk. And
all nerves right there.
He got a 47 though.
Yeah, come on.
He got a 47 for this regular dunk.
That was being nice, obviously, way too nice.
But yeah, you just didn't have the star power, and we talked about it on a previous show whether or not you asked me if LeBron has ruined the dunk contest, and by not doing it, right? So my answer was yes, because in general, superstars have been more reluctant to not do the dunk contest, right? You've had some good players do it, the Aaron Gordons, the Zach LaVines, but they weren't like superstars at the time, obviously, when they were doing it.
Yep.
I can't remember the last superstar that has done a dunk contest recently. Can you name the last superstar that has done it? I guess I would say Dwight Howard would be the last superstar that's done it.
Yeah, I mean, would you obviously? You know what? I'm gonna give you a name that I totally forgot. I didn't even remember him winning it. But I guess would you say so? There's Dwight Howard. There's obviously. I mean, Blake Griffin was kind of on the way to start.
A little bit before, yeah.
John Wall won a slam dunk contest. I do not. Do you remember that?
John Wall?
Yeah, 2014. I just not remember John Wall. That Wall. I know. I heard it the other night, and then I was just like, as you were talking, I was double checking that. I know, 2014. In New Orleans.
What did he win it with? I mean, I would want to go watch that.
Yeah.
I mean, no disrespect if John Wall is listening. I never thought of him as like a dunker, and for some reason, I can't remember that contest. Who was in it? Was it Jason Richardson? No, it was not a Jason Richardson year, was it?
No, because that's 2014. Richardson was like earlier 2000s. Yeah. I mean, Donovan Mitchell won it in 2018, but again, he was a young guy, which is great. I think it should be the young guys, but it should be those guys that are kind of in a trajectory. Like, I mean, you said it last time. There is no damn reason like a Ja Morant and who else you say, Zion. Those guys have to kind of reestablish themselves, don't you think? I know you're looking up that slam dunk.
So wait, the format was, I think this is when they're trying to get it to be more relevant. They made it East versus West. So Wall teamed up with Paul George and Terrence Ross to sweep the Western Conference, which is probably why I don't remember.
Yeah, we try these gimmicky things, and you know,
I just don't.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, before we, kind of carried on a little bit. Look, like in the 90s, this has happened before where the dunk contest lost its luster a bit. So Kobe won it in 97 and they didn't have it in 98, and then 99 was the lockout. So they didn't have it. So they didn't have it for 2 years, basically. And honestly, from what I recall, obviously there wasn't social media. I was pretty, obviously we were young at the time. It was kind of the same talk though, like, oh, it's not good anymore. And it took a Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady,
one, right? The first one,
Steve Francis. Yeah. That was like the comeback. The funny thing is, you look at those dunks. I mean, they still hold their value. Don't get me wrong, but they're like not as.
But see, you can't do that, Eric. You can't do that because I know TikTok does that all day long. Talking about they show highlights of Michael Jordan and go, "Oh, that's LeBron in the park. That's LeBron in high school." Like we can't do that because that Vince Carter dunk contest.
FF families. That was, remember us? We were like, oh my, it's over.
Okay. Two things happened in the dunk contest. Every single one of his dunks were clean. Like there's no miss attempts or anything like that. Each of them were clean and ferocious. He had swag and all that stuff. All you see in these new dunk contests is these guys trying dunks, missing on their first attempt. So you already know what they're going to do, which deflates every time somebody dunks. Like I like Carter Bryant. I liked his dunks and I liked his ability to jump. But then when the last dunk he was going is like he tried, and then couldn't really get the attempt and obviously lost it from that. Vince Carter's dunks was 4 dunks and it was just like bop, bop, bop. It was over. Like, I mean, you see everybody's going crazy. Got people with the camcorders out, all that good stuff. And
I missed that too. But
so I think people, when they look back on it, you go, nah, Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine's dunk contest was better. Arguably, it's probably better of a dunk contest because of what type of dunks that they did. Yes, right. And also, most of those were pretty clean. Like on one, especially Aaron Gordon, they're like pretty much one attempt. I think maybe he had one miss or two in there, but they were just like so spectacular, right? So I think that has created like this lackluster of an event because people aren't willing to, sit there after miss a dunk attempt, right? And I think that's one of the biggest issues.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we were talking about swag. I mean, if it was a dance contest, my man Keyshawn Johnson. Oh no, not Keyshawn. Keyshawn Johnson.
I mean,
like my man was swagging it up.
My boy was out there like he definitely got 10 out of 10 for dancing the whole time. Even my wife was like, "Yeah, that dude is He's dancing all over the place. I was like, yeah, he is. Yeah, that's all he's doing right now. But he did have some nice dunks, and he did win the contest. But yeah, it doesn't have the same appeal. And I think, honestly, I know they always say, "Oh, can it be saved?" I just wish one of these superstars would just go in there and enter the dunk contest, because I think that would help others kind of join, or at least create this like intensity to the night, right? Like, there wasn't really much of intensity going into the dunk contest. Nobody really anticipated Jackson Hayes like still in the show, right? So that wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, I think this is like a microcosm of like the league right now. I mean, let's be honest. I can't believe it, but the 3-point shootout is the more exciting event right now, and it has been the last few years, because you're getting the big names and like that. I mean, you have a smile on your face, but
don't get me started with Dame Leonard being in the dunk and the 3-point contest.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that like that's. I mean, it's obviously the more fun events, the better. But it's, I don't know. To me, it's kind of sad that contest, which is all fine and dandy, is really superior to the slam dunk contest. And I don't want to take away from a lot of these young guys that are, hey, I'll do it. I'll get that spotlight, but or I'll get in that spotlight and make a name for myself. But I mean, we talked about it last time. You got to have those young guys, and you got to have a mix of some star power. That's the only way. But I know you're chomping at the bit. What time?
No. I see. There has to be the okay. Same thing for dunk contest. Mac McClung in the dunk contest. No, I don't want G League players in dunk contests. Love Dame.
We can go to YouTube to watch some cool dunks, right? If it's
love Dame time, but he hasn't played a game all season, and I just don't understand how a player can be in the 3-point contest. If the whole point is usually those players that are shooting like top 10 in the league of that year, not of previous years. And he still won the thing because obviously he's a great shooter. It's not like he's not going to win it. He's a great shooter.
Or have a chance to win it. Yeah.
I just didn't like that in there. I thought they should have had some other play. Like Rui, he's shooting what, 47%? Like he could have been in it. Or somebody give other players a chance that are having stellar years in 3-point contests.
Yeah. It's funny how in one, I mean, we're obviously saying let's get the stars out there, and then the 3-point contest as well. I think if there's a balance in both, where you're having your guys that are stepping up from the 3-point line that year, plus some of the obvious ones. I think Steph Curry said he'll be back in it next year, and so I wonder if it'll get to the point, and that's when you could probably bury the dunk contest. But if that 3-point shooting contest is the last event, that's kind of what was talked a little bit too. They always have that throw in like in the middle like third event, which is kind of always gimmicky. But I mean, what do you think? I mean, is there any saving the dunk contest? I mean, is somebody going to kind of step up and kind of grab it by the horn and save it?
Yeah. I mean, did you hear what Vince Carter and T-Mac talked about on their podcast about the dunk contest? What happened?
Like,
and I
roughly,
forgot what year it was, but basically, essentially, David Stern called Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, LeBron, and Kobe to enter the dunk contest, and they would pay them each $1 million, I think. And Vince said yes right away, and then there was no answer from anybody else, essentially. So Vince said he was down, but then eventually never got a call back about it, about doing it, because there's probably no response from LeBron or Kobe, or they said no in that way too. But something like that, I feel like if Adam Silver really wanted to get this thing going, he would call Anthony Edwards, Zion, Ja Morant, and then have some young flyer come in there, right? Yeah. And have a contest like that, and just generate a little bit more buzz. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy that it's gonna take that, obviously, but what they're doing now isn't working, so it may take someone doing that. And it's weird. I did hear speaking of Ant Edwards, and I think he's like, when you think of like we got to get some kind of star there, I think he's like the perfect person for it just because of his athleticism. But he even commented, I don't know what interview it was during the All-Star weekend, where he's like, yeah, I'm like an in-game dunker. Like, I'll dunk on a guy for sure, but I just don't, I don't got that. I don't got that, like, different types of like dunks and the style points, if you will. And so I think that's like the thought, right? If he's thinking that, then that's probably what most are. They're worried about losing or something, right? Or just having people make fun of their dunk, something like, right? Like, I don't know what else it is.
And I think LeBron is probably in that same boat, right? He's more of an in-game dunker. He would have dunked on somebody 10 years ago. He still can dunk on people.
Yeah.
But there's not all the gimmick stuff that you need in a dunk contest. Maybe it's because we tried to do too much now, right? Like, in a way, like, there's all these people trying all these type of things. And for these guys that are just pure in-game dunkers that have crazy vertical leaps, it might just be tough for them to kind of come up with something that would be different than what people have done in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the dunks out there other than bringing props have pretty much been done. And, like, I think as a fan base, though, we just have to realize that. And we're going to see, if we want this, we're going to have to also realize we're going to get some of these recycled dunks, right? We can't have it all.
Yeah. True.
And it's just like anything else, right? You watch an all-star game because of the star power, and you'd want to watch these events because of star power too. And so they obviously did a decent number over the weekend in terms of viewerships. And, you know, we'll see if it had to do with being sandwiched in between the Olympics. That's like for another day to discuss. But I don't know. It would just be nice if we can kind of get back to just that good feeling of All-Star Saturday night.
Yeah.
Evening, night, PM, dark outside. That's what I'm looking for.
Has to be night.
We're not in Hawaii. We're not in Hawaii. 2:00 or whatever it is for them.
Yeah, for sure. Now, what do you think of actual All-Star format? It was a little similar to last year, except for not having the G League players in there, which was a disaster last year. But having three teams, you had the World, you had the Stars, you got the Stripes, almost like you had a veteran team, you had a young team, and the World team. I thought, you know, especially the first three games, that each game was super competitive. And Ant said it himself that Wemby set the tone, and it was pretty much out there busting guys' ass. You saw at the end of that first game where they give up a three, and he's all pissed looking at Cat like, why didn't you cover the guy for the three? You had Kawhi going for 31 in one of the games, right? Like, you had a lot of players just going all out, and I enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed the All-Star game for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we both agree, like, we wish that it was just East versus West, right? Go out there and play, you know, 75 to 80% of kind of what you got. And I think that would be the best bet. But with the cards or the hand dealt, I thought if you were kind of pissed off going into it, worried about guys playing hard, that definitely happened. The guys played hard. I think the short games like allows for that, right? Like, instead of a long normal 48-minute game, it's gimmicky. So, I mean, it reminds me of 2020 when they kind of came up with that Kobe Bryant format, right? Where like for 2 years it was, oh man, it was nice. It was like they were battling out there, and then like after a bit, it just loses it's kind of like luster, if you will. So that's the only thing, you know, I don't want to like downplay it so much, but we'll just have to enjoy what was in front of us a couple of days ago. But I think that's when you get so gimmicky, like after a couple of years, you probably have to reinvent the wheel again. But yes, for Sunday afternoon, the round robin thing was a little bit confusing, right? Obviously you had the vets, the old heads having to play like consecutively, right? And they were pretty much blowing out that last game.
Yeah, the last game.
And so you'd want a little bit more competitive of a last game, but I mean, you can't ask for the world. We had a bunch of our all-stars that were not injured. Some were injured and some not, but go out there and play hard. I guess other than Luka and Joker, right? That's kind of like the thing now. They don't mess around with all-star games.
Yeah, they weren't going to play much. But I think in general, like, people have to realize that these are all-star games. Like,
Yeah.
They probably want to be on vacation. They've obviously made the All-Star game. It's important to them. It's important to the NBA. But this is not a real game. This is not a championship. Like, we can't expect these guys to continue to give their all 100% of that game. Like, it's just not going to happen. Yes. Did they play pretty good defense? Yeah, a lot better. Like, people going for steals. You had, I think I counted 3 or 4 hard fouls by LeBron where he hit the shit out of Wemby one time, and I was like, kind of surprised in a way. But I think you had that competitive fire, which was kind of set by some of these younger guys, which is good. It's good for the game, and I thought they did a good job with that. The format with the 3 teams becomes a little weird because then you got teams that play 3 games in a row or whatnot, or one's resting, one's not, and you don't see the players as much in this format, right? Like, when you had 2 teams, you would see more of the players. Like, you're like, oh, I'm going to expect LeBron here, I'm going to expect that person here. And the only other thing is that I don't like is you got 10 players that were named to be starters. I have no idea who the starters were based on the games, because you can't do those 10 players because you got teams on the world, you got players on the world, stripes, stars. So I
as well not have that starters then.
I don't like that part, because that it brings it down a notch in a way. It's like, I mean, Jaylen Brown, or whoever it is, Giannis, you earned a starting spot. Luka, you earned a starting spot, right? But you just can't see. I don't even know who was supposed to be starting at that point, because I kind of forgot who was the all-star starter and who wasn't. So I didn't like that part about it when you do the 3 teams. So I thought it gave a competitive advantage. And then at the same time, I kind of just missed the East versus West. But that's kind of my old school mentality with it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Like, I ultimately forgot too who the starters were, and I feel like the NBA tried to do it just kind of the normal way they do it, where the fans vote for the starters, and then of course the coaches pick the reserves. But when you have 3 teams, it just makes it a little funky, and you're like, wait, who was the starter again? And then obviously adding the injuries, and so. But yeah, I mean, look, if you look back, there was obviously some great all-star games in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, but there was also a lot of blowouts too. We kind of tend to act like every single game was like, an overtime thriller, like you pointed out, like it is an exhibition. I will argue, and I could probably take out my violin that, I think you heard this a lot this weekend, that players have a lot of responsibility these weekends now, right? And when you're playing a regular game, like the 2-3 hours before the game, they're putting their bodies through like a specific regimen, and they're not able to do that during the All-Star break, right? You're doing 1,000 interviews. And so imagine like all of a sudden having to go 100%, you can of course get injured and things like that. So there's that too, but I don't want to let the players off the hook, because we could see a good brand like we saw this weekend of ball, where I don't think as fans we're asking for 100%, but hey, 70%, 75%. I think that's good enough. Yeah,
for sure. And I thought the main players did kind of that for everybody, and it got people talking. Who's the new face of the league, right? You had a lot of these young guys out there, and Wemby is probably leading the pack in that terms. You can tell by the interviews that he did, the questions that he got, and all that. Then you have Anthony Edwards, who doesn't necessarily want to be the face, but at the same time is probably the USA version of the face. So could you actually have 2? That'd be kind of cool. I think instead of the face of the league, because I feel like when LeBron came in, he just had so much hype that you didn't have to name him the face of the league. When have you had to name somebody the face of the league? It just was LeBron. It just was Kobe at that time. It just was Jordan at that time. But I miss the rivalries, the Jordan Magic. Like I want that to be the face of the league versus actual just one player. So if it's Ant versus Wemby, great, but they have to match up in the playoffs, or they at least have to have this rivalry against each other, right? That creates some drama. I think that would be pretty amazing.
Good point. Yeah, it's that face of the league. I think it's like a newer term, and I'm pretty sure I could be wrong. You guys can quote me if I'm wrong, where I would imagine it wasn't talked about, back then. It just, now that we sit back, we know that Jordan was the face of the league, Kobe for a bit, obviously. And, so on and so forth. LeBron being followed from high school. But yes, the thing that we remember about the 80s is the Magic and Bird, Lakers, Celtics, right? Even with Michael Jordan, I guess he didn't he was so dominant in the 90s that the rivalry was not both ways, right? Maybe like the Knicks in the East, obviously Utah, they played twice. It's just the thing with Boston and the Celtics, Lakers and the Celtics, is they both kind of went back and forth. But also, I mean, the players are so friendly now too, right? And you can go on for days about that, where back then it was a little bit more of a rivalry, kind of, or felt that way. But yes, until we see the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Spurs maybe in like 2 or 3 finals or Western finals in a row or whatever, or maybe the finals if Minnesota goes to the East soon, right?
Ooh, that's right.
But yes, that's why you kind of need those dynasties, right? That Cleveland and Golden State 4 years in a row, right, was kind of big. Lakers, Spurs rivalry back in the early 2000s. So yeah, good point.
Sure. Yep. All right. So we talked a lot about the All-Star break and All-Star game, but we got to get into some stuff that came out today with Dave McMenamin of ESPN kind of releasing an article about the Lakers. I thought there were some good points in there. He talked about the Lakers trade opportunities and what kind of happened at the deadline and how they kind of preserve some space for the summer, versus kind of doing a short-term deal. And then talked about the summer that we'll kind of get into, of what they can do, free agency, LeBron, all that type of stuff. But overall, what I got from that piece is the Lakers' plan is for the summer 2006, and that's probably been their plan all season long. And they're trying to do the best they can this season, just kind of moving forward. And obviously, you want to win games, and you want to make LeBron happy, you want to make Luka happy, make the fans happy. But this is the team that they're going to go with, is the team they kind of entered the season with, right? And now all you did was add Luka Kennard. So that was the big thing that I got from it. We'll get into kind of the details, but what'd you get from the article and just kind of take in some pieces from it?
Yeah, I think for the longest, it was waiting for that 2027 summer. And it's now turned to 2026, where some guys, for example, Giannis, he's not most likely probably not going to be a free agent that summer. He's going to get traded. And I kind of thought that he was going to maybe, and it still may happen, go somewhere where he's a rental, and then they would then make him a free agent. But the free agent market is just not as big as it once was, right? With the possibilities of signing extensions a little early, you get paid more that way. And so it is pretty interesting that, and I think Lakers and the Luka window is now. So their Lakers have Luka for this year, and then guaranteed, 2 more seasons. After that, hey, if he doesn't like what he sees, he technically could walk away, right? And so I think the team, albeit obviously there's the ownership change too, the LeBron situation kind of as an elephant in the room. But in my opinion, with that article, it's kind of hey, Lakers are wanting to just make changes and build around Luka. Definitely more so sooner than later.
Yeah, 100%, man. I feel like their time is now. I mean, they have to be that way because, like you said, he could actually possibly leave in 2 years from this season. So I think they have to figure it out this summer. And overall, this is just a huge summer if you think about it, right? So LeBron's becoming a free agent for the first time in a long time, right? Where he's an actual just straight up free agent. Austin Reeves is likely opting out, which makes him a free agent. So you actually just have 2 of your superstars-ish, or, 2 of your best players on the team that are likely going to be free agents. So, if worst case scenario came by, I mean, I know this is probably not going to happen because I think Lakers going to always, well, no matter what, will sign Austin for whatever it would take to get him back. Yeah. But you could literally just have Luka and nobody. I'm not saying this is going to happen because I'm positive that we would sign Austin Reeves no matter what. But like losing those two guys already just is crazy to think about. But in general, take the normal stuff aside. You got LeBron, a free agent, Rui, a free agent, which opens up $51 million in cap space, right? You got DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart, who could opt into their deals. They had like $8 and $5 million roughly, and that still includes the $51 million. So if they were to opt out of those deals, you roughly have like $60-something million of cap space, which is pretty amazing. Now, you could use it two ways, right? You're either going to try to sign obviously Austin Reeves could take a portion of that, right? A good amount would go to him with his, I think, the 5-year, $241 million contract. Yeah. And then you can add pieces on top of that, right? You still would roughly have maybe $20-30 million kind of add and kind of move from there. And then you got trade, right? Obviously, Giannis, his name's been talked about. He even had an interview with Malika Andrews today where it was on NBA TV or NBA Today, where he was talking about, do I want to be in Milwaukee? Like, he keeps going back and forth. Like, this is a problem I have with Giannis. He doesn't want to be the bad guy. Like, he keeps saying his heart is in Milwaukee and he wants to stay there. But if this team is not a championship team, he doesn't want to be there. Like, I get he's trying to be that nice guy.
Play both, yeah.
But he also talked about how, as a kid, he always dreamed about playing in the big cities, playing in New York, playing in LA. He even said playing with LeBron in Cleveland, right? Like at that time, like when LeBron was in Cleveland. So I think he, at one point, has this like, I wouldn't mind getting to a big team like that because I would like the limelight. But he also is a guy that just, he's from Greece. He has a small circle. He likes the kind of like family-ish of what Milwaukee is. And deep down, he would probably want to do that no matter what. But likely, they're just not going to be able to put a roster in front of him that he can do that.
Yeah, it makes me think, is he going to get like a little bit of like cold feet and nothing's going to happen? Which probably won't. I'm pretty sure it is going to happen. But so for the Lakers to get him, it's going to really take Giannis wanting to come to LA, right? It's going to be like, hey, I want to go to either this team or that team, and Lakers are going to have the best package. We know that Lakers are not going to have the best package, like overall. And so I am just not confident that Giannis is going to put his foot down and say, I want to go to the Lakers. Because like in reality, that's probably the only way it's going to happen. Yeah. And I think Lakers, I hope, find out sooner than later so they can go technically to plan B. Yeah,
and like there's a reason why we're not hearing necessarily Austin Reeves' name in those trade talks. Like they just talk about the 3 first-round picks. It's because he's a free agent. Like he's going to opt out, and he would have to negotiate. They would have to negotiate a sign and trade, and he would want to go there, right? Yeah, $241 million. He'll go anywhere, right? So if you trade him, that they'll likely do that. Now, does Milwaukee want that? Like I get wanting Austin Reeves for sure, but do they want a guy that's now signing, what is that, almost $50 million a year essentially? So that's going to take up a lot of their cap space in that way, or do they just want those draft picks and kind of rebuild in that fashion?
Yeah, and it's like they're going to want to like have a complete tank job for a few years, right? Yeah. And not saying like that Austin Reeves alone will make you a contender, but he may get some wins there, which you may not want, right? Yeah. So it's a tough decision. It's tough to figure out what's going to happen, basically.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting summer, and I think honestly though, like for Giannis, I think it's going to always boil down to probably Milwaukee, New York, and LA, and obviously probably Golden State, just because they're going to be in the mix no matter what. Playing with Steph Curry is probably going to be an option. I think those are the three major teams that it's going to boil down to. I don't foresee any other teams kind of stepping up, or do you?
I get what you're saying. The only caveat is, so there's only going to be one champion this year, right? And we know that, obviously. So someone else that maybe didn't quite get there, a San Antonio, a Houston, OKC loses, right? That would be the only thing that could throw a wrinkle into things. Yeah. Minnesota, I'm not too sure what they're working with, but I would say, yeah, like, hey, there's a reason for him to go there and be that last piece. And so that's something that we'd kind of have to go up against too. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know, like, just to throw a couple of names out there that we hear. I mean, what do you think of, I don't even know if it's possible, but what if they re-signed Austin Reeves and then they got Peyton Watson and Walker Kessler, for example? Is that a pretty formidable team?
Yeah, Peyton Watson to be great to add like that. He's a restricted free agent.
Right? But we throw some money at him, you never know.
I think Utah's have to do something with their, they have market in, they have Jaren Jackson Jr., and then they'll have Walker Kessler coming back from injury. I think his value had to have gone down now. Walker Kessler. I mean, there's one point where it's like you had to give up two first
rounders. Like, come on, man.
If we don't get him for a bag of chips in the second round pick, I don't think it's a deal that I want to be made.
Fair market. Yeah.
But yeah, I personally would want to see Austin Reeves back a Laker. I think that him and Luka could be a pretty dynamic duo. And I would like to add a lot of athletic wings and shooters around him and just support the team in that way and be a young, dynamic team. And whether or not have that room for LeBron to kind of sign for a smaller type of contract, like he's obviously not going to get $50 million from the Lakers. And if he wants to kind of come back and be with that team, depending on, I think LeBron coming back to Lakers is slim, but is highly dependent on how they do this year. Like if they get to the Western Conference Finals or they get to the finals, obviously, something like that, I think he comes back. But I think if it's another first round exit, I think it's just time for both parties to kind of move on from either side. Yeah,
I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire, and that's kind of what's been talked about. I mean, Cleveland is now the leader in terms of odds of where he's going to go next year. And yes, I think it has very much to do with how well they finish this year off. And then also just, do we want another year or two of this and kind of, I mean, he's still a good player and everything, but just everything that comes with it, right? Is that what the Lakers want? And they have some big decisions. I know they got to get through this season first, and the season's not over, and we'll talk about that in a second. But it's a huge summer. It's one of the bigger summers that I could recall for the Lakers. And, it's regardless of what they do, it's going to be tough. You have San Antonio and OKC there that's going to be there the next 5 years, right? And so there's nothing going to be guaranteed, but it'd be nice to have like a team that's formidable to face off against those guys,
Yeah, I mean, we have to somewhat try to figure out how to get younger. And, we have Luka and Austin that are in their 20s. And I think if we get younger and more athletic, I think that's the way to go. Obviously, Giannis would be an amazing player. He's had some injuries over the past couple of years that concern me as he gets older. And I think Luka meshes with another younger guard, like how he did with Kyrie and Jalen Brunson in that way. And then just surrounding him with athletic bigs and athletic wings and shooters. I just think that's the way to go. But time will tell. But we have a whole second half of the season play right now. Lakers have 28 games to go. In the next 13 games, they have 10 home games, 3 away games, which is going to be key for them. So I think over these next 13 games, we'll kind of get a good idea how these Lakers are going to be. Number one, LeBron, Luka, and AR have only played 9 games together. That's like, they're not going to win shit. They're not going to win shit without those 3 players. So if we can get 20 plus games out of those 3, in the 28 games, barring like LeBron taking some games off on a back-to-back and things like that. But if you get 20 plus those 28 games, I think they can have a much better record in that second half. And in reality, they need to go 17-11 to win 50 games. So if LeBron, AR, and Luka are playing 20 plus games, I think that can be a way we can win like 20 games at least. 20-8 would be a scenario where like, okay, this team is ready to get into the playoffs. I think they could actually do some damage against some of these teams in the West.
Yeah, it's going to be big. They have about the same record they had, I think almost exactly the same record that they had at the break last year. And so those three have played a combined 152 minutes, I think I read somewhere. And Drew Timme on the Lakers has played 150 minutes. So they played around the same. And so,
insane.
Yeah, I mean, those three obviously had some run last year together, but probably not even that much because LeBron, I remember, was out for some time after the Luka trade. Obviously, they played together in the playoffs, but yeah, we're going to start getting into that 77 out of 79 champions or a 1, 2, or 3 seed. We're going to
we know that.
We know it, right? And so pretty positive that 1 and 2 on the West is pretty sealed up. OKC 1, San Antonio 2. Now 3 through 7 technically is very much wide open.
Yeah,
I would say 50 wins is probably going to get you guaranteed at least top 4 or 5, and it could get you the 3 depending on how the others do.
Yeah.
But yes, if we want to take this team serious, what you said 17-11, is that what we got?
17-11 gets them 50 wins. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me 18 and 10.
Yeah. And that would get you a guaranteed 6 seed likely, right? Like if you're 51 wins,
probably top 5, I would say
should be top 5, barring the whole West just winning every single game in that kind of group there. So
they're going to beat up on each other a bit here.
Yeah,
I almost say 51 may get you the 3 or 4, but you obviously can't guarantee anything yet. But
but likely if they can get the 3rd seed like they did last year, I think that's going to be another positive step into the playoffs. Obviously, had a tough time against Minnesota, but that team was also just a totally different team than this year's team. Like squad wise, like we didn't have a big. He wasn't like. I mean, I know DeAndre Ayton hasn't been the best big, but he's serviceable big man in this league. And then you can have Jackson Hayes playing some minutes, and JJ has been willing to play the bigger lineups this year versus how he was playing last year. So he's made some adjustments in the way he puts up lineups. Remember, we'd have Dorian Finney-Smith at the 5 all the time and LeBron at the 5, and we don't really see much of that this year.
Yeah, I would it would be another tough matchup, but I would welcome that. Their first round matchup, regardless, is going to be hard. They're going to play Houston. They're going to play Minnesota, right? They're going to play Denver, right? I mean, it's going to be tough. Hell, I mean, I would say the only thing is if they can get a 3 and maybe Phoenix gets a 6, right? Not saying it would be easy, but that would be a nice, if I had to choose a first round matchup, right? But regardless of the matchups, and I mean, they got to get this thing right these last 28 games, and they got a lot of home games. They haven't been fantastic on home. That's my only concern, but not a lot of travel. I think they got 3 back-to-backs left from what I think I saw that. And I know one of them is like a home and home back-to-back, which I feel those are not as bad. But yeah, I believe there's 3, and then they have a one big road trip left, which I know is a tough one. So, but hey, it's a win or go home time, obviously.
Yeah, and I would want to see Luka really come out the second half. I know he had the hamstring injury to kind of, in before the All-Star game, played a couple minutes at the All-Star game. Obviously didn't look like himself yet. He wasn't really up to speed. So I'm hoping he's back by Friday and he can turn the second half into an actual MVP performance, right? Because he's going to be up there with MVPs. The Lakers just have to have a much better record in order for him to get the MVP. And there's going to be players that are falling out of it. Wemby's going to fall out of it likely because of games he's missed. Joker probably is going to fall out of it. LeBron, obviously, he's not an MVP, but all these type of players.
SGA is injured.
SGA can possibly fall out of it too, which would make it kind of weird because then you're going to have players like it's going to be Jaylen Brown, Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham would probably be the MVP at that point if like an SGA kind of went out of it.
Yeah,
but I want to see that.
It's for the taking,
Yeah, I want to see that type of performance and kind of be healthy down the stretch and really play at least 25 out of 28 games remaining.
Yeah, if he, whatever, it's obviously the MVP is a nice thing, but if he gets it, that means it's a sign that Lakers dominated the last 28 games. They locked up the 3 seed, and Luka was obviously a big reason for it, and obviously he would be if that's the case. So that's the reason I hope he kind of strives for it, because that means the team is having a lot of success and they're balling out kind of going into the playoffs.
Yep. So let's go get at least a. What'd you want, Eric? You wanted how many
18
wins?
10.
18 10. Yeah.
51 wins.
51 wins would be going to the playoffs. Would be similar to what they had. What they had 52 last year. 52 and 30.
50 and
32.
Yeah.
Okay.
51. So one more win than last year is what we're asking for.
Yep. All right. So I wanted to kind of wrap up the show with some injury updates and news with Stephen Curry. According to Steve Kerr today, he did not practice, but they gave all the vets time off today. Porzingis, I believe, practiced, so he's on track to play in their next game. Looks like Steph should be ready for the next game. He's essentially been off since January 30th with runner's knee, which is basically patella femoral. It essentially like he's getting this tendon issue that becomes irritated from repetitive jumping and running and things like that. So I think in the long term, I think he'll be okay. He at least got rest. I think that being off for about 2.5-ish, almost 3 weeks will do his body good for the last half of the season. But he's getting up there. He's 37, 30, going on 38, and I think his body is taking a toll. He has the most miles in the NBA. He runs the most, obviously, every single game, running off screens, continuing to do that. So he's taken a lot of miles on that body, and I think it's just something that he's going to have to play with. He's going to have to learn to kind of manage throughout the rest of his career. Some of these aches and pains that he's going to have in his ankles and his knees and his hips probably. And just hopefully we can see the old Steph Curry and then down the stretch.
Yeah, I think like some teams, and players, they take advantage of kind of that all-star break so that they can buy some time, maybe miss the week or two before the break, and then you get that week and a day off or so. Same thing, I think, with Luka. And I think with Golden State, they know kind of what they're in play-in territory. They kind of, to be honest, I've kind of lived there too for a while. And so I think the reality is play-in, and they're going to treat this accordingly. They want him to be in as best shape as possible heading into the playoffs, right? And so I think that's what we'll see. We probably will see him, miss back-to-backs or maybe those 3 games and 4 nights and things like that. And so, yeah, and we'll see. We'll see. It'll be. I kind of want to see how Golden State looks with like Porzingis and kind of that new squad they have now. But yeah, hopefully it gets back soon, and obviously along with Luka too, and the injury front. Hopefully he plays Friday, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it'd be good to kind of see the stars back, and I think down the stretch should be a pretty good, entertaining second half of the season. Football's over, All-Star break is over, trade deadline is over. It is now time for the NBA. This is where they start peaking. This is where the race starts happening, and playoff competition starts to, happen, right? So looking forward to it, Eric. And you got anything else before we get out of here?
Other than Me Too, this is what pays the bills for the NBA, so to speak, is after that All-Star break, they kind of live and die, I guess I should say, by that 2-month playoff. But that month before is also huge, month and a half or so. And hey, as Laker fans, at least we got a team that probably is not projected to advance super far in the playoffs, but they do have star power. They do have a chance, and that's all you could ask for. You never know with injuries and things what could happen. Nobody a year ago at this time could have ever projected the Pacers to be in the finals.
True.
So never say never, right? You got to go out there and play the games, and I'll be watching those games. And so, let's get to that 18 and 10 mark and go from there.
All right. So cheers to the second half of the season starting soon on Thursday. Lakers play on Friday. But until then, the Hoops Rehab team is out. Peace out, guys.
Peace out, everyone.